I'm Sam Smith and this is Inside Out Southwest. Mobility scooters give freedom to disabled people in the southwest who might otherwise be stuck at home. But accidents involving them are on the increase. Some people have even been killed. And so now there are calls for compulsory training. We've been investigating. Britain's roads and pavements are teeming with mobility scooters. Around 300,000 at the last count and rising. For many, they're a lifeline. For others, they're a menace.
Mobility scooters are big, strong and can do a lot of damage. And people are getting hurt, people are getting killed using these mobility scooters because they don't know how to use them safely.
A quick trip to the shops ended in hospital for Graham Marsland. Battered, bruised and broken, he's the latest victim of a scooter accident.
Yeah, basically I went over for a loaf of bread and as I stepped out of the shop onto the pavement, I got hit. What in effect turned out to be a mobility scooter. It was quite a shock. I mean, it knocked me about 8 feet. I landed on my left and broke my left hip and my left shoulder. And I've had an operation on both. Well, thanks.
The accident left Graham semi-conscious on the pavement. The scooter driver was also shaken by the collision.
She sat in shock, if anything. I remember looking at her. I felt a bit sorry for her because she didn't leave the house to hurt somebody, did she? And I didn't leave the house to get hurt either. So it was a bit of a lose-lose situation for both of us. And of course, with the police being involved, I believe, she would have been traumatised to a degree as well.
While Graham was taken to hospital, the scooter ended up here, among the mangled wrecks in a police garage. It's now being checked to see if the speed setting was on 4 miles an hour. That's the legal limit for pavement use.
It is quite common with scooters becoming more popular. People are being involved in collision with these things, either on the road or on the pavement. This is a Class 3. Unfortunately, this one, I believe, weighs in excess of 140 kilos. And then the driver on top of that, it's considerable weight to be on the pavement.
And to hit somebody.
Indeed, yes.
The inspector found the driver was not breaking the speed limit. In the last 3 years, Devon and Cornwall police have recorded around 200 public safety incidents involving mobility scooters. But police have limited powers to prosecute because mobility scooters are classified as medical devices, not vehicles, and so are outside the law.
Legislation doesn't cover them. They're not covered under the Road Traffic Act, unlike a cycle, motorcycle or a car. So we're very limited, if any, powers to deal with people involved with these.
This is what's left of a scooter that was being driven by a man who'd been drinking. Out at night with no lights and on a main road, the scooter was hit by a car. The rider was seriously injured, but he wasn't prosecuted.
So somebody could go to the pub, have a skinful, come out and drive it, have an accident and not be prosecuted?
Bizarrely, yes. Obviously wouldn't advocate that, but it does happen, yes.
The government is now being urged to make scooter use safer. Leading the calls, Plymouth MP Alison Seebeck.
Some action has to be taken to ensure that standards are maintained in terms of the safety of these vehicles and that some basic training ought to be undertaken by all users.
Norman Baker, the Minister, said he was reviewing all this when I had my debate some months ago now, in March, and we haven't heard anything, so that's why I'm chasing him. I need to know what the outcome is of his various consultations because I think it's in the interest of all road users and people in the pedestrian areas as well, that we try and improve safety for everybody involved.
She's had one success. Police will now have to record accidents involving scooters.
but they will be accidents on the road. They won't necessarily take account of the ones on the pavements. So there will be some reporting, and that'll help us to sort of try and identify the nature of the problem, and then we can move on from there.
The few rules there are about scooters haven't changed since the days of the invalid carriage, and they've been obsolete since the 1970s. Scott Moyes says he'd be lost without his scooter. With arthritis and heart problems, he can't walk very far.
Yeah, it's a lifeline. I wouldn't be able to get out of the flat without it. I'd be stuck in here, 24/7.
Every year around Christmas, former soldier Scott decks out his scooter with tinsel and all the trimmings.
I do it every year just for for the kiddies, they'll come to accept it now because I've been on it a few years. And if I go down and I ain't got it on, where's the Christmas stuff, mister? So I've got to come back and put it all on again.
Scott's had no accidents in his 8 years as a scooter rider. He doesn't feel welcome on the pavements or the roads, but he says he's got no choice.
They won't allow us to use a bus lane or a cycle path. But if you're doing 8 miles an hour, you've got to go on the road, which means that puts us right in the middle of the road. You've got like your cycle path, your bus lane, then the middle where all the cars are. So you've got them honking at you. Get off the bloody road, you know what I mean? And you just don't know where do you stand, like what do you do?
Cornish safety campaigner John Seaman says it's up to disabled people to ride their scooters responsibly. And not like this, a scooter used as a carpet carrier in Somerset.
There's no restriction on who can buy them. There's no restriction on who can sell them. There's no restriction on who can use them. You wouldn't put a person who can't drive a car into a car and say, go on, off you go. You wouldn't put them on a motorbike and say, go on, off you go.
John says it's obvious what needs to be done.
Legislation stating these vehicles must be checked every 12 months like a car to make sure they're safe. Training. It doesn't take a lot of training. It just means building the person's confidence up.
Today, John's wife, Betty, is getting her first lesson in scooter riding from trainer Simon Parrott.
The wing mirrors are halfway?
Yes.
Do you drive cars?
No, I don't.
Oh, good.
Until now, Betty's been too nervous to use one.
Put the key in. Right, turn it. But do not touch that one or that one.
I was a little bit scared, because when you first get on one, they tend to run away with you, you know what I mean? Go too fast, and I didn't realise how to slow it down.
Betty soon gets into gear.
No, the right one.
And within an hour, she's braving the open road.
I'd certainly feel more confident.
She's convinced insurance is a must.
And if you do knock someone over on it, that person hasn't got a leg to stand on.
Meanwhile, Graham Marsland's learned the police are taking no action against the woman who knocked him down.
When something happens, it happens. You have to deal with it. The irony, though, is it's me who now needs a mobility scooter, But it is serious, really, because somebody could be killed.
The Department of Transport says it is now looking at bringing in a test for new users. Campaigners believe that's the only way to take the liability out of mobility.